Hello chess enthusiasts. In this game, Magnus Carlsen has the white pieces and Viswanathan Anand has the black pieces. Magnus starts knight f3 and Vishy replies d5, then b3, c5 and e4 the Norfolk Gambit. Although it's been played frequently by top players, mainly in online blitz games, this is a very mysterious opening. I found little information of it online, so if you have any insight, please share in the comments. The idea is white wants to undermine black's control of the c4 square, so that eventually a bishop can land there. Most common is e6, but Anand and the engine prefer pawn takes e4, accepting the gambit. Then knight g5, not only attacking the pawn, but eyeing f7. We see knight f6 and knight c3 battling for e4. Black could play bishop f5, but white can win the pawn back if he really wants. So instead, black chooses to develop his knight to c6. White can grab the pawn, but this position wasn't as appealing to Magnus. By the way, queen d4 here would be met with knight c3. So white reaps the fruits of his labor as the bishop lands on c4. To meet the threat on f7, the natural e6 is played. Then bishop b2, bishop e7, both sides castle, white regains the pawn, and there's an exchange of knights. Although white has some daunting bishops directed at the king, black is doing just fine in this position. He should plan to play a6, either b6 or b5, fianchetto the bishop on b7, and occupy the d4 square with their knight. Instead, e5 was played. Maybe black wanted to open the path for the light-squared bishop or reinforce d4 for when the knight lands there. However, e5 just opens lines to the black king, and white plays f4, putting more pressure on black. Black shouldn't defend the pawn because white would play queen h5 with too many threats. The f7 pawn is weak, the knight's coming to g5, and the f-file will soon be open for the rook. For example, bishop e6 can be met with f5, and black will soon have to give up the queen or get mated. In some lines, white has knight f6 check with a similar mating idea. So pawn takes f4, then white should recapture immediately. For example, after rook f4, knight d4, queen h5 wins at least a pawn. Instead, we see queen h5 right away, which is a slip-up. This gives black time to consolidate with bishop e6. If the bishop is captured, then black is just up a pawn, albeit they are weak. Otherwise, material has been simplified and black finally gets the knight to d4. What's more, the c5 pawn is poisoned because of knight e2. Instead, black plays knight d4. Here, knight takes c5 again doesn't work because black has this line where they win an exchange. The rook can't be saved because bishop d4 wins a piece. White sees this and correctly plays rook takes f4 with an attack on f7. Black plays g6, then queen e5 with a mate threat if the knight ever moves. Now black makes the losing move, b6, defending c5. Best was bishop e6, leading to this position. Still, white is up a pawn and better. After b6, white plays rook a to f1 with immense pressure on black's kingside, and with so many pieces on the back rank, black can't defend. The attempt is bishop f5, obstructing the rooks. White could just take the bishop, and after rook c8 trying to protect the king with the rook maneuver, white would play bishop d5 to stop black in his tracks. Then rook f3 followed by rook g3 can't be stopped. The knight capturing would lead to checkmate as such. Instead, white played g4, which is still winning. Bishop e6, and after plenty of exchanges, knight f6 check. Wherever the king goes, there will be discovered check. We see king h8, and there are a couple of maiden threes here. Magnus didn't spot it, or at least didn't play it, so if you want, pause the video now to try and find one. My favorite, knight e8 check, queen e8 check, a queen sacrifice, and rook takes f8 checkmate. Magnus instead played c3. I can't really explain why, maybe time trouble, and it is a forcing move. Anand retreated the knight, and after knight e8 check, black resigns. It's virtually the same position as a move ago, so checkmate is coming. I hope you enjoyed this game. Subscribe for more.